Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode with the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And my name's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, how's it going, you sweet little darling of you are?
I'd say it's pretty good. I'm drinking a very strong iced coffee on a fully empty stomach. I don't think we've eaten in about 16 hours.
So
that's going to be interesting.
With your IBS, we might need to take a little break in the middle
We
here.
might have to take a little break ski.
Yeah, it's self-diagnosed, by the way. Not
absolutely.
clinically.
And I was watching a reel about this girl who they live in a van, her and her boyfriend.
Down by the river?
I don't know that they're down by the river, but they have a situation where there's a bucket installed where they can urinate, do number one. But people always ask her, they're like, well, what if you have to go to the bathroom? And she says, well, we can pee in the bucket. And again, it's not like a bucket in the center of the room. It's situated to look like a toilet.
Well, men, that's no problem. I mean, I'll go anywhere.
And in my head, I was like, well, she clearly doesn't have IBS because when you do, you can't be very far away from the ability to take care of business.
Well, they can just go in the river.
Well, I don't know that they're by a river.
You said they were van.
I said I don't necessarily know that they're by a river. Every van is not by a river.
Why wouldn't they be? I mean, rivers are nice.
They might be. We'll just say that they're by the river, but maybe she doesn't want to crap in the river.
Makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah.
I was actually watching on Instagram. This is a great topic, by the way. Great job, Allison.
Mm-hmm.
That was me, by the way, bringing this up. But it was they were in a boat, a bunch of like teenage boys, basically, and the guy's like, "Oh, I gotta go," and he jumps in the water, and he's like filming them like,
oh no, so it just like floated up.
It was so disgusting.
So Mike sends me these reels and things that I'm like, did you mean to send this to one of your friends? Like, this is not my humor. I don't like crass, like especially if it's sexual and it's, I don't know, crass.
I don't send you a bunch. Like, I sound like a creep.
You send me this one of the dog laying on its side, viciously humping a toy.
Oh, that was kind of funny, wasn't it?
It was fine. I mean, I was like, this is not my cup of tea.
I thought you'd laugh.
It was like, okay. I mean, it's
the soundtrack,
not my humor.
I know, but the soundtrack on it was like, oh yeah, that's get it or something like that. It was kind of funny, like a human voice with a dog.
I don't know. It's just I find silly things funny, and some of the things Mike sends me, I'm just like, why?
Well, speaking of marriage issues, we're going to go through a live marriage thing right now.
Marriage issues.
Yeah, we're going to go through it live. This is the first time I'm talking about it in a little while. It's nothing big. Don't worry.
Okay, but I was like,
maybe we should.
What am I preparing for?
Yeah. So last night we're going to bed before sleep, and this morning we wake up and it's Sunday. We're doing our podcast. And last night you were like, hey, what time you want to get up for the podcast? And in my head, I'm like, I really don't care. This is completely up to you. I'm like, 8 o'clock. And you're like, okay, no later than 8 o'clock. We need our butts in the seats, recording. And like, mind you, we have nothing going on today until the Bears play the Packers a little bit later.
You need to go to Costco.
Yeah. Okay. I need to go to Costco. So we are pre-recording this. The Bears were still playing. So I do need to go to Costco. So I was just like in my head, I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. And now, then we got up. Now, I did have some technical difficulties. You see some lights behind us. This one's always been up if you're watching on YouTube. The one to Allison's side is brand new.
We wanted it to be symmetrical.
Yeah, so I did take a little bit longer putting that one up. I forgot to put in one of the things. I'm not very handy, but that's okay. That's besides the point. So it took me probably 10 more minutes than usual today. But here we are sitting at 9:12 a.m.
Mm-hmm. We're an hour and 12 minutes behind schedule. Yeah. And Mike is trying to tell me for this lamp that this rubber tube that goes into the lamp, that it's going to fit. I said, I've never taken physics in college or high school, but this defies the laws of physics. This tube ain't going to fit.
And it did seem a little snugger than the last time.
Saying, no, they say, and you just push it. I'm like, there's about 4 inches of extra rubber in this thing.
Yeah, it turms out there was more than that. There was like 8 inches of extra. And it was
like, oh
I didn't put in the extra post or whatever, but that's besides the point. So enough about me. Let's talk about you. Last night, do you think it's better for me just to agree with you? Because everything went great today.
No,
we're in great moods.
No.
You are enjoying yourself. You're enjoying my company. I like this. Last night, I could have been like, well, how about like 8:30 or 9? You'd be like, no, that's too late.
Yes.
But here we are at 9:12 and everything's just fine.
What I want is when I say butts in the seats at 8 a.m., I want my butt in the seat at 8 a.m. and we weren't.
But why? Like, does it matter at all?
I like to get ahead of the game.
Yeah, sure. But like, it's fine, right?
It's fine. I'm fine.
Okay. So that's just one of those things. It's like, I think it's just easier to say yes. And knowing in my head that it probably won't happen.
It is easier to say yes, but it would also be helpful if you went through.
I was trying
with the thing that you're saying yes to.
It was in my mind to try to get us in the seats at 8 a.m. So
okay.
We didn't do it. And then I got another thing to bring up. It's a little bit more serious. So Allison, some certain family people have problems, like substance issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to ride the lightning, which I believe is heroin.
Ride the lightning? I've never heard that term in my
I think
entire
that's heroin.
life.
I think riding the lightning is heroin.
Are you making this up?
No, riding the lightning? Or
Okay.
maybe that's meth. I don't know.
I don't know. So anyway, go ahead.
So some people like to ride the lightning, and Allison's looking it up right now. What does ride the lightning mean?
I don't. It's bringing up some kind of Criminal Minds episode.
Okay, so stop. So anyways, you got to listen to this.
I'm listening.
Allison likes to taste the rainbow. We have a very big problem.
I am really addicted to tasting the rainbow.
She is a Skittles nut now. I went out last night to get the girls. Our daughter is having a sleepover with her friend, and we go to get some snacks usually at a gas station, and Allison's like, can you give me some Skittles? And it's like she's been obsessed with Skittles.
I think we did talk about this on the last episode, but this is new and it's not a regular bag of Skittles. And I know we mentioned this on the last episode, but Mike came home with a moderately big bag. I'm like, where's the family size?
Yeah, and it's still happening. That's the thing. Like usually, like maybe once or twice. Yeah, this is a thing now for a couple weeks now. So
Have you noticed how quickly I'm eating them too?
Well, yeah, and like we laid in bed last night. Usually we don't like lay in bed together at night.
We always think of sitcoms where the couples are in bed together.
Yeah.
And we rarely do that because normally I go to bed way earlier than Mike. Not way earlier, but I'd say by 2 hours maybe.
Yeah, it should be an hour, but it's usually 2 for me.
So it's rare that we are in bed together reading or whatever. We had our cat with us, our dog.
We were like a real couple. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was nice. And I was just shoveling in the Skittles.
She was reading her Kindle and like...
I'm reading Ellen Hildebrand, and it's like the Winter Christmas trilogy, or I don't even know. I should have looked this up
You're
ahead
looking
of
at me.
time.
I
But
don't care. Yeah.
Ellen Hildebrand, she's a good author if you just like a fictional, low-key book, just a story. It's not a romance. It's not a mystery. It's not a thriller. It's just very peaceful. She's a great author.
Good to know.
And most of her books take place on Nantucket.
And she goes very well with Skittles, apparently.
She goes very well with Skittles, and it was a Saturday night, and I was relaxed.
I'll keep you guys updated. I'm worried about her, but I think all these red dye 40s and blue 60, whatever
They're
it is.
flowing through these veins.
That's
just
right.
coursing through them.
You feel good. You're in a good mood. Maybe
I'm
more Skittles.
energetic. Well, all I have in my system for this past 16 hours is Skittles and coffee.
Good. Well, that's how it should be.
And a reminder, I am a registered dietitian.
Yeah. Well,
cheers to that,
hey,
folks.
Yeah, we're all human beings.
We all can't be perfect all the time.
No. So I think we should get along with this episode. I think it's about that time. But
right.
welcome all of our new listeners. We keep on getting new ones. Thank you so much. We just do a couple 10 minutes of banter before every episode. Just do a little coffee talk, a little warm up. Let's just make sure things are going in the right direction.
Before we take a deep dive into the darkness and sadness that we are to talk about, which this case is no exception. So are you ready to take a dive into this cup of coffee?
Yep.
All right, so this is the murders of Clinton and Cristen Brink. So what began as a fun, adventurous family outing at Devil's Den State Park in West Fork, Arkansas, ended in absolute unimaginable tragedy on Saturday, July 26, 2025. So this is obviously a more recent case. So Devil's Den is an Arkansas icon that's nestled within Lee Creek Valley, and it was selected as a state park site in the 1930s. So hikers, campers, mountain bikers, horseback riders, fishermen, fisherwomen, whatever. Anyone who likes the great outdoors likes to visit this area to see rock formations and caverns, as well as an impressive rock dam that spans Lee Creek and it forms Lake Devil. This is an 8-acre lake for fishing. So that Saturday afternoon in late July, the weather was a warm 85 degrees. There was a breeze in the air. It wasn't yet to that point, maybe in August, where the humidity is just weighing everybody down and you're miserably hot. So 43-year-old Clinton Brink and his wife, this is 41-year-old Cristen Brink, they headed out to the park to hike with their 7- and 9-year-old daughters. So the couple did also have a 17-year-old daughter, but she didn't go out to the park with them that day. So the Brink family had only just moved to Arkansas 3 weeks earlier, so this is their new home state, and they were no doubt utilizing the weekend to explore, see what the area had to offer. And, it's just a typical thing to do on a Saturday. You want to spend family time together. What a better way to do it than out in the great outdoors?
Yeah, it's healthy, and you get to spend some time together.
Exactly. So by late afternoon, half of the Brink family would be dead after her parents, Clinton and Cristen, were stabbed to death in an act of random violence on a trail that was less than a half mile from the parking area within the state park.
Oh my God, you picture something like deep in the woods? And that's crazy.
Because you think about this family of 4. They have 7 and 9-year-old daughters. They're not doing an 8-mile treacherous hike. They just want to go out and get some fresh air, talk and be together and get some exercise.
Like the hikes we take.
Right, exactly. Very, very family-friendly hikes. So what happened that day at Devil's Den sparked one of the most intense manhunts in Arkansas's history. So people who had previously taken refuge within the great outdoors and nature were suddenly fearing for their lives because this person who did this was out on the loose and they had no idea where he or she was. Are they going to strike again? Are they staying and targeting people in the parks nearby?
Especially you say random. It's like usually acts of violence or something targeted.
Totally random. So Devil's Den is situated in the northwest corner of Arkansas near the Oklahoma border, and it's nestled within the Ozark Mountains. So within the more than 2,500 acres of landscape, much of the park is covered in a thick canopy of oak and hickory trees, so the trails are snaking through these narrow crevices, caves, and creeks. Do you say crevice or crevasse?
If I want to have some fun, I say crevasse. If I want to say it real, how it's supposed to be said, I say crevice.
Yeah, I always say crevice, and I was watching a thing on Mount Everest, and apparently mountain people say crevasse.
Well, I
don't know if it's like a thing.
Mount Everest people aren't mountain people. I said it, okay? Those are all cheaters.
Oh,
you can't go up a mountain and take freaking ladders.
Ladders.
Yeah, that's cheating.
So although the name Devil's Den, it might sound ominous, for decades, danger and scary stories, they only existed within the park around the campfires. You know, you're telling scary stories as you're camping at night. Otherwise, it was a safe space. It was known for its scenic vistas and family-friendly hikes rather than danger and murder. So that Saturday afternoon, the Brinks chose to hike along Devil's Den Trail. This is a very popular 1.5-mile loop with moderate difficulty. You know, 1.5 miles when you're hiking is very little. You're just going out to have fun together. So it was not going to be a treacherous hike, but rather just enough of a challenge so that at the end you feel like you've accomplished something. So since the area is so vast and remote and blanketed with such, thick tree coverage, that cell service is oftentimes spotty to non-existent within the park. So this is technically, in a lot of cases, a good thing because it forces campers and hikers to take that disconnect from social media, to constantly be in touch and be distracted from the things around us. And if you have teenage kids, I'm sure you can relate. But I can't tell you how many times at dinner I'm like, guys, put the cell phones down.
Yeah, it's the downfall of a lot of things happening. It's the attention deficit and stuff. It's unfortunate, and it's in our power to take the phones away. So it's interesting. But really quickly, I did look up on my phone while you were talking about Devil's Den in Arkansas, and it's rated really well. I go to All Trails. It's an app that I use for trails, for hiking, anywhere you are. So if you love hiking, definitely download it. It's pretty awesome, but it was rated really well. Very popular.
I saw that. So it's just this place where people can go and get fresh air, be together, and disconnect even just for a little while. So Clinton, Cristen, and their girls had only just relocated to the state from North Dakota after Clinton was transferred with Prairie Farms Dairy. So he was scheduled to start his job delivering milk on Monday morning, so a couple of days ahead.
It's a milkman.
Yeah, exactly. So meanwhile, Cristen, who was a registered nurse, she was planning on continuing her career within the medical field. So they were settling into their Prairie Grove home, and everything seemed to be falling into place. So at 2:40 p.m. that afternoon, a call came through the Arkansas State Police after hikers could hear screams of terror through the trees somewhere in the distance. And although it was impossible to pinpoint the exact location, the sheer terror of these screams made it very obvious that something terrible had happened. These were not screams of joy. These were obviously screams of terror. So not knowing what was happening, the hikers, tried their best to immediately call 911. But like I said, cell service is spotty to non-existent. So park rangers responded within minutes, and they raced down the trails that led to the lower section of Devil's Den Loop. So they came upon 2 little girls, ages 7 and 9, and both were visibly trembling and sobbing. They were clearly traumatized. So as they managed to get the words out through their terror, they were able to convey that they had been out hiking with their parents when a man with a knife suddenly appeared on their trail. So the man began attacking Clinton first, while Cristen rushed to their daughter's safety before she returned to help her husband. So Cristen screamed to her girls, telling them to run to safety, keep running, and do not look back. So the girls began sprinting down the trail, and they were alone within this thick woodland. They had never been to this place before, and they were completely unsure of what was happening to their parents that they had just run from. But based on what they had witnessed, it was not good.
Talk about going from zero, like just hanging out on the trail with your parents, to absolute fear and terror and anxiety, every single horrible feeling you could have.
Right. So a hiker who came upon the girls about an hour after the attack that day helped them get to safety and then turned around and went back in the direction that they had just come from. So as he went deeper into the forest, he hoped with everything that he would be able to find the parents and do something to help them before it was too late. So as he came upon Clinton and Cristen, they were each lying on the ground, bleeding after suffering from multiple stab wounds. And he tried desperately to get cell service, but he was unable to. So he was forced to climb to higher ground until he was able to get that signal and then dial 911.
It's crazy. Like, knives are almost more dangerous than guns. Like, you can shoot somebody and like you hear about a lot of people surviving, you know, but a knife, multiple stab wounds, that's terrible.
Right. Because when you come upon somebody and they're just furiously swinging and you're unprepared, I mean, there's little that you can do to protect yourself.
Right.
So by the time first responders reached the couple, they were sadly gone. It was too late. So the medical examiner later documented the defensive wounds that they had suffered on their hands and arms, proving that they'd each tried desperately to protect themselves from this random attacker. So according to the girls' accounts, rather than fleeing to safety, so Cristen had the opportunity. She could have run with her daughters while this person was attacking her husband. Cristen only worried about her daughter's safety and then rushed to her husband's side in an attempt to protect him. So according to their obituaries, Cristen and Clinton shared a marriage that was bound by faith, laughter, and adventure. They lived for the simple joys in life. They often took their daughters out hiking, kayaking. They would take them to theme parks. They just loved to be together and connect with one another. So they were each other's best friend, their biggest cheerleader, and their constant teammate through life, whatever that brought them. So Clinton was born on June 14th, 1982, and those who knew him would describe him as a kind, gentle, loving, and dependable person. In addition to working as a delivery driver, he was also a certified nursing assistant, and he had only recently been honored Employee of the Month as a CNA. So despite his multiple careers, his wife and his 3 daughters were truly his greatest achievement in life. So he was a rock to his family. He was a constant support, a comfort, and he loved his family with everything, unconditionally. So peace and understanding were so much more important to Clinton rather than pride. And he was someone that would apologize even when he wasn't in the wrong, because really his biggest thing in life was just harmony within his family. And he didn't have to be the winner of an argument. He just wanted everyone to be happy and loved.
Well, everybody's somewhat at fault for every argument. You know, you can find some peace and be like, you know, I shouldn't have said it this way, and I'm sorry. Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes it takes that first person to say, I'm sorry, to break down the walls.
He just sounded like such a kind peacemaker, just such a great family man, such a great husband and father.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
So Cristen, who was born on June 11th, 1984, she was described as a vibrant, compassionate soul. In addition to being an RN, she also had a degree in math. And she was a volleyball player through high school as well as college. She was a strong, funny woman. And just like her husband, her kids and her husband were the center of her world. Like I said, they were a simple family. They didn't need to have all these lavish riches. They wanted to be in each other's company.
Well, that's the lavish riches, is having a loving family.
That's our philosophy. It's like, well, we might not be rich in wealth, but we're rich in love. And I know that sounds super corny, but that's really what's important at the end of the day.
I just always think back to when our son asked the other day, like, what did you dream about having when you were young? And I was like, what we're doing right now. I was playing catch with him, and you were outside watching us, and Reese, our daughter, was inside. It's like everything I want is with me right now.
Yeah. So when detectives processed the scene, combing through the dirt and vegetation, they found a third set of DNA that had not come from Clinton and Cristen. So this suggested that the attacker, of course, who's madly swinging a knife, also injured himself. So when the DNA was run through the national and state databases, there were no hits, meaning that this person had no prior felony convictions. So as the investigation team spread throughout the park, and like I said, this is a very vast area, so this is not easy. So they spoke with as many witnesses as they could as quickly as possible because they wanted to talk to people before they wandered off to their cars and drove away, and then they'd be unable to track them down.
Yeah, it could be hours and hours away and never hear the news or whatever.
Right. So I will tell you that many of these witnesses had seen someone or something, on the trail that day. It was a very busy Saturday afternoon. It was a warm day. So many people were out and about. It was filled with families and hikers that were enjoying the day. So it's likely that the man who attacked the couple had fled from the scene covered with blood. So after the attack, odds are someone could have seen him with blood on his face or arms or wherever. So multiple witnesses reported seeing a white man who matched a particular description. So they're hearing the same description from various witnesses that had no connection to one another.
Let's be real. We're all picturing a white man doing this.
Right. So he was of medium build. He wore a long sleeve shirt with sleeves rolled up. He had dark pants, a black baseball hat, sunglasses, and fingerless gloves, and he carried a black backpack.
I mean, this is exactly the type of person you would picture. It's like if you had to draw somebody. Yeah.
So one hiker recalled seeing a man that fit this description, and he did have blood on his face. He was walking in a hurried manner from the direction of where Clinton and Cristen had been attacked. So some witnesses had even seen this man in question climbing into a sporty black four-door sedan before he quickly left the park. So Thank goodness for that, because not only did they have his description, but also the vehicle he drove off in. So they did say, though, that the car's license plate had been partially obstructed with either electrical tape or duct tape. So not only did witnesses work with investigators to create a composite sketch of this man in question, but a hiker who felt this gut instinct that this guy had been up to no good. And I gave you his description. Like the fingerless gloves on an 85-degree day, you might say, well, he wants to protect his hands. Something about him stood out enough to the point that this person had snapped a photo of the back of this guy while he stood among the trees with his backpack on.
Wow. So true crime folks, like all of us listening, and if you see something weird, just take a picture just in case.
Right. And it just goes to show how much people were paying attention by his strange behavior to the point that they even looked at his license plate. And you know that these people are into true crime because you're listening to this podcast, you're into true crime. We think alike. Yeah. Like this guy looks shady. Let's see if we can get his license plate.
Just in case. Worst case scenario, you never look at it again.
But they had the wherewithal to do that to tell the investigators he had covered partially his license plate. So it was just eerie to see a photo of this guy before he did what he did.
And you know what? Also, if you're ever in a parking lot and see something partially covered on a license plate, go ahead, take a picture of it. Right. That's probably somebody up to no good.
Somebody's up to no good because somebody intentionally did that. Duct tape doesn't just fall onto your license plate.
Right. Or they could be just trying to skirt tolls. But either way.
It's shady. So although his face wasn't visible in the photo, it did help because it reinforced the clothing that he was wearing as well as his build and just his hair color, all of that. So for weeks, Devil's Den was closed to the public as the investigation continued. And search teams combed over every trail looking for any piece of evidence or clues that could potentially lead them to their killer. So after the photo and composite sketch was released to the media, tips began pouring in from Arkansas and surrounding areas from as far away as Washington state. So people were terrified, hearing that a young couple who had been out in the daytime, in like the 1 o'clock-ish hour, were with their 2 daughters who are 7 and 9 years old, that they had been randomly and viciously attacked in an unprompted fit of violence was horrifying to them because we try to take measures to protect ourselves. Me as a female, I try not to walk in certain areas outdoors at dark, like on our college campus. I remember I'd have some night classes and it would get out at like 8:45 at night and I'd be walking alone thinking, this isn't safe. But when you go out on a populated trail in the middle of a Saturday afternoon, you do not expect to be stabbed to death.
Yeah, it's not the middle of the night. It's not a remote location. This is a Saturday afternoon, tons of people everywhere.
So suddenly now families are canceling their hikes, their camping trips. They are now, if they are going out, they're carrying weapons with them because they were not sure where this guy was. So meanwhile, investigators were busy collecting surveillance videos from nearby businesses that were situated along the route to Devil's Den. And thank goodness they had his vehicle description because now they know what they're looking for.
You look for about an hour in that window and you try to see that passing by anytime. I work in the video surveillance industry and it's there's cameras everywhere.
And not to mention the people said we saw him get into this car. They probably gave them an approximate time.
Yeah.
So as the footage was examined, they noted a black sedan appearing in multiple locations. And apparently the car had distinguishing features that made it very identifiable.
Oh, good. Idiot, horrible, piece of crap.
You know how there might be like a dent on one part of the car. So every time they're looking at it, they see that same dent. They're like, okay, that's our car.
Thank goodness for idiot criminals.
So detectives realized that they were specifically looking for a 2022 Kia Stinger. And this is a sporty 4-door sedan that fit the witness's description as well as what was seen in the surveillance video. And as they reported, lo and behold, the license plate was partially covered. And maybe that was the distinguishing feature. I'm not entirely sure. So on Wednesday, July 30th, this is 4 days after Clinton and Cristen were murdered, police identified their suspect. They actually tracked him down and found him at Lupita's Beauty Salon in Springdale, Arkansas. And this is 34 miles or 55 kilometers from Devil's Den. So now they're walking into this salon, and here is a man sitting in the chair with a cape on, getting his hair cut. And he matched the suspect's description. And not only did he match the description, but he also had visible injuries to his hands. And like I said, based on the DNA that they found at the scene that was from not Clinton and Cristen, he had been injured. Well, here this guy is sitting. It looked like he had been in a violent struggle. So halfway through his haircut, this man was placed in handcuffs and he was arrested.
That's actually hilarious because he was halfway through, so he probably looked stupid. Oh, I love the cops that did that. Great
His
job.
face scares the shit out of me. And sorry to swear, but he has a cold darkness in his face. He looks soulless and horrifying.
I mean, we're talking about much worse things than swearing.
So authorities don't believe that he was getting a haircut in an attempt to alter his appearance, but more likely he was getting ready to start in his new position as a teacher.
Oh my God.
The following week, because school was starting.
Yeah.
So this man was 28-year-old Andrew James McGann. He is a teacher who was licensed to work in Arkansas, Texas, as well as Oklahoma. So he had no criminal record and he had passed multiple background checks. Only weeks earlier, he had been hired by Springdale Public Schools. He was going to start to teach 5th grade in the next week or so. So Andrew had been an unremarkable man who was educated, he was articulate, and he seemed to be the last person who was capable of a vicious double homicide. He blended into a crowd. He could be your neighbor, your coworker, your child's elementary school teacher. So the fact that someone this unhinged and dangerous could make it through interview processes as well as background checks and be responsible for a classroom full of 5th graders who are 12 years old maybe?
Sure, sounds
in
right.
5th grade, 11, is horrifying. People were terrified by this idea. So as investigators looked into his background, they began to see troubling patterns. Although they weren't waving red flags. They were troubling patterns.
Well, yeah, it's always going to be easy to be like, well, he killed somebody. Let's see if we can find anything. And like something's going to pop up.
Right.
You know?
So although his teaching career had been brief to that point, he had been placed on administrative leave from an elementary school in Flower Mound, Texas, 2 years earlier in the spring of 2023. So reasons included issues with classroom management, questionable professional judgment, as well as student favoritism. So after colleagues voiced their concerns, he resigned under the mounting pressure that he was under. So whatever he was doing was enough that other teachers within the same school went to, the head administration to report it. So exactly what his professional or questionable professional judgment was, that's not entirely clear, but it was enough that people spoke up. So after he now left Texas, he began teaching 5th grade at Spring Creek Elementary in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. This is during the 2023-2024 school year. But once again, he managed to get through the interview process and the background checks before he was hired. So I don't know if they didn't contact the previous school to say like, oh, how did his employment end? Because there were concerns there, They brought him in and he was put on some kind of plan or whatever to the point that he decided to resign.
Well, the problem is nobody wants to teach because they don't make much money. And especially in the South here of the United States, they don't get paid anything. So they're pretty much like, oh, you can breathe? Oh, okay, you can teach.
Here you go. So during the 2024-2025 school year...
And real quick, if there's teachers out there, you are amazing people. I give you all the credit in the world.
100%.
Like there's definitely some bad apples in there among you guys, among every place. I love teachers.
Right. No, we have the utmost respect for teachers. I mean, I certainly couldn't do it. As our kids are in middle school and high school, and the idea of teaching a bunch of these kids that are, so entitled and outspoken and disrespectful to adults.
And addicted to their phones and putting in their AirPods all the time. And it's like, man, that's, I give it up.
I mean, I give mad prompts to your props. Thank you. I give mad props, not prompts. So now during the 2024-2025 school year, he worked at Sand Springs Public Schools in Oklahoma. And at the end of the school year, he resigned from this position so that he could relocate to Arkansas. Why he chose Arkansas, that's not known. So this pattern told investigators that he would get hired within a district, and then concerns would start to come out, and he would resign before he faced more serious consequences. He would move to an entirely new state where he was unknown and he could have a fresh start. So obviously, I haven't talked to his coworkers, but I have a feeling he was probably one of those guys that in the teacher's lounge while they were together, they're like, he's freaking weird.
There's a teacher of our daughters that reminds me of this guy a little
100% in 1st grade. Yeah. Is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah, he sucked.
Yes, he sucked, and she had the best 1st grade teacher, and midway through the year, he took an entirely different job. We were so sad because
they got along so well.
They were just like besties. He was this elderly guy. He was just amazing. And all of a sudden, this weirdo slides in. And from the minute he started, there were red flags.
Yeah.
To the point that we are not the type of people that like contact the school and make complaints and stuff. But we did. We were like, something's going on. And it turned out that pretty much every other parent in that class had concerns to the point that some of the kids were withdrawn from that classroom.
Yeah, it was nothing creepy that we knew of,
it was nothing like where we felt like our daughter was in danger.
Just
or like
a piece
that.
of crap. Like almost like our daughter knew more than this guy. It was weird.
And then I went to the classroom because I would have Wednesdays off at that point in time. So I would try to be present and volunteer. If he needed any assistance, I would go and help him with whatever. Total freaking weirdo. He was not at all prepared, even though we had this visit set up for like a week. And I'm like, okay, how can I help you? And he gives me no supplies and then goes off to have a one-on-one parent-teacher conference.
And like, just you're sitting there doing nothing. You're like, what do I do?
I'm someone that if I'm put to a task, I'm going to friggin' complete it. But you have to give me the necessary supplies. He left me with no tape, but he wanted me to tape things up. So now I am digging through his personal items and I feel highly uncomfortable. Just a freaking weirdo.
Yeah.
So the point is, it's scary to think that we don't know who's driving our kids' school bus. We don't know who's teaching their classes, especially when they're switching classes and they might have 6 or 7 teachers throughout the day.
And then also, like, you don't know why he was dismissed from these other places or he left. And I'm sure the administration at these other schools don't want it on their resumes either that they hired this weirdo. So it's like, okay, keep it quiet. Just let him move out and everything's fine.
Yeah. And even the school who had hired him and he was getting his haircut to start it, they're like, oh, he was a teaching candidate. It's like, no, he just hadn't started yet because the school year hadn't started.
Right.
So despite these red flags and issues within his teaching positions, nothing in his employment history suggested that he was ever capable of a double homicide, an unprompted attack with a knife in a forest with children present. There was nothing that could have ever predicted the random act of violence that he had been responsible for against this family that he had never met. So I'm not saying that these schools did anything wrong because he didn't have a criminal record. No one could know what kind of darkness is lying in someone's brain. So when police searched McGann's car after he gave them permission to do so, they did find blood inside as well as the DNA from the blood that matched what was found at the crime scene. So obviously he was injured based on the injuries to his body. He was bleeding, and apparently he had confirmed, yes, I did get injured during this attack. So they also found items in his home that matched evidence from the crime scene. I'm guessing the clothing that he was wearing. So with this overwhelming evidence against him, apparently McGann confessed to police officers. He admitted to killing Clinton and Cristen, but after he obtained a lawyer, he retracted his confession, and then he went on to plead not guilty to 2 counts of capital murder.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Is it like, oh, yeah, what I said, never mind?
Yeah.
You can just say that.
Well, sure, you can make whatever plea you want. It's ridiculous, the things that happen. You have people on video in an interrogation room saying, yep, I did this, and I picked up this lamp, and I smashed them in the head, and then they're like, nope, not guilty.
It's like, wait, you said you were, so we have
Right.
this evidence against you.
So Washington County, Arkansas prosecuting attorney Brandon Carter indicates that his office will be seeking the death penalty since this crime was so brutal and random, and it left 3 children orphaned. So he is currently facing 2 counts of capital murder, and they're planning on pursuing the death sentence. So now that an arrest had been made, people were left to wonder why. McGann had zero known connection to the Brink family. They had never met. They did not live in the same town. They were both new to the area because he had just relocated, from Oklahoma, and they had moved from North Dakota. So the attack was entirely random. Sadly, the Brink family had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person. Had McGann gone to Devil's Den that day with the full intention of murdering someone? And the answer is likely yes, based on the dark clothing that he was wearing and the knife that he was carrying. Had it been a robbery gone wrong, or was he simply just acting out some sick urge or fantasy? And these are questions we might never have the answers to. So as of October of 2025, authorities indicate that they have absolutely no clear motive, as McGann, through his attorney, has remained silent. So the randomness of this attack, the fact that this sweet family of 4 was out walking down a hiking trail in the middle of the afternoon, and they were ambushed by a stranger who attacked them completely unprompted, has made this tragedy that much more heartbreaking and frustrating. Random violence without provocation suggests that safety is just an illusion, and it proves that danger could be lurking anywhere. Because like I said, there's certain things we can do to protect ourselves. We can lock our doors. We can put an alarm system on. We can avoid walking outside at night, doing things like that.
Have tons of guns in the house and all that.
Yeah, but
whatever.
This was something that no one could have predicted or have been prepared for.
I guess if you had a gun, that probably would have helped.
I mean, maybe, yeah. So Clinton and Kristen's 2 young daughters are now being raised by family members. According to their obituary, their 17-year-old daughter is actually married to her 18-year-old husband. A GoFundMe account has been started by a family member to help cover funeral costs as well as costs of caring for the couple's 2 young daughters, because they want to make sure, through the trauma that they witnessed and losing their parents in such a horrible way, that the last thing that they have to stress about is money to live that life.
How's the GoFundMe going? Did you look?
I looked a bit ago. So thus far, when I last checked, $97,560,000 of their $120,000 goal has been achieved.
Yeah, I mean that's still enough to keep them for a little bit.
For a little bit, but it's a lot to raise children. So Clinton and Kristen's 2 young daughters were key in helping the police find their suspect because of the information that they provided through the trauma that they had lived through at only 7 and 9 years old.
Those poor angels, and it's going to be the rest of their life. They're not going to be regular, well adjusted. They have to remember
fear,
this.
It's like, will they never go out hiking ever again because they're traumatized?
Yeah.
It's like that stuff lives deep in our brains and in our hearts. So James McGann remains in custody without bond. He's awaiting a trial that currently is expected to begin on January 15th, 2026 in Washington County. Despite the fact that his DNA was found at the scene, as well as him matching witness descriptions, surveillance footage of his car, evidence that was found in his home, his alleged confession, he's sitting there maintaining a plea of not guilty.
I mean, this is a perfect opportunity to have some kind of a large slush fund, by a billionaire puts it together for a few $1 billion or maybe a few million. And it's like any prisoner who happens to get rid of this guy, whatever way possible. Like, you're not paying for a murder, but somehow there's got to be some legalese somewhere. Be like, listen, if something happens and you happen to be in the area, then you get this $500,000 bonus, and we can continue spreading that. Like, everybody agrees. Every single person would agree this guy should be dead immediately. And he's useless. Like, he's clearly going to kill somebody else if he's ever let out. So it's like, he did a horrible, violent, random crime, and he's got his DNA. Like, this is case closed. Like, kill this guy.
He scares me so bad. Like, even just his more recent appearance in court, which was November 14th, 2025, they ruled that he's allowed to wear civilian clothing rather than his orange jumpsuit.
What the hell? Like,
why are we giving him any yeses?
He has no rights, like, as far as I'm concerned.
You have no friggin' rights. You just stabbed a couple to death in front of their little children, and you get to wear your civilian clothes so that you don't look like a prisoner. Sorry, buddy. You freaking slashed 2 people to death. Oh, wow. You are a prisoner.
He looks like he's got that cauliflower head or whatever.
I don't know about that, but
cauliflower hair.
Oh, hair?
Yeah.
Okay, but the look on his face is terrifying, and even when he was being led through in his civilian clothing, he looked horrifying to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know what kind of chameleon face he can put on in the presence. Yeah, that face.
Okay.
In the presence of parents, when you're in 5th grade and you're doing parent-teacher conferences, clearly he's not sitting in the room like this. But I don't know what kind of face he does present.
Most people are listening to us and not looking at you.
Well, if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're not watching us on YouTube, I just made a very cold face.
You did. It was scary to me.
But the point is, some people are chameleons, and you can reference somebody like Ted Bundy, and he looked like a completely normal guy. But then there's that one photo of him in the courtroom screaming, and the veil just dropped from his face, and the true nature of what he looked like came out. That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, but I mean, every picture of this loser, he looks like a psychopath.
He looks like a psychopath, but obviously he didn't look like a psychopath. I hope not. In front of the interview board that hired him to teach elementary school, clearly he had to have presented himself in a different manner. So right now there is a gag order to limit pretrial publicity. So the Brink family was doing what so many of us do on the weekend. They utilize that time because we work all week long to reconnect with the family, go out and do something together. So they were not only just enjoying each other's company, but they were doing what they love to do. They were enjoying the beauty of nature within their new home of Arkansas, when suddenly a madman in fingerless gloves came upon them swinging a knife.
I keep forgetting that he's young, and I looked at his picture. If I saw this kid, I call him a kid because I'm 46.
He's 28 and we're 46.
Yeah, he looks like a kid. Like, he could be friends with one of our kids, basically. Like, I know not that age, but just kind of looks in that area.
Right. Our son's 17,
yeah. And if I'm sure if I came upon him in a trail, I'd just be like, oh, just some kid walking around. If he's already next to you and he's got a knife, like, you're dead.
Right. You're dead.
Crazy.
That's the point. And that's how it happened, was so unprompted that Clinton was just walking by. He probably even said, hey, afternoon, or whatever.
Even if Clinton did have a gun, like, if he's like just not showing you the knife,
100%.
I guarantee he wasn't 200 yards away being like, I have a knife, watch out. No. He probably was like just walking and looking like mean or whatever and just kind of sliced him.
Literally just sliced him.
Oh, gosh.
It all happened so fast. And that's why I said we can take the precautions to protect ourselves. But in some cases, even if you had a gun on you and someone suddenly slashed your throat, you don't have the time to react and take it out.
Like, this guy doesn't deserve any kind of protections or anything while in prison. Like, there's just forget to watch him or something and let somebody do something.
Turn your back.
Yeah.
So they had never seen this man's face before, yet without prompting, for whatever reason, which we might never have the answers to, psychosis, mental breakdown, don't know, a deadly attack began. And rather than running to safety, Cristen had that opportunity. She could have done that. She died trying to protect her partner in life, the father of her 3 children. Clinton and Cristen died heroes. They died together, protecting their daughters to the bitter end of their lives. And that is a sad and tragic case, of the murders of Clinton and Cristen Brink.
That's okay. So
it's just so hard because these are the things that we do as a family together. We want to connect to our kids. And like I said, we're all working. We're all distracted. They're in school. They've got their devices. We like to go into the great outdoors and hike. And you just don't think you're going to pass a person on a trail and they're going to start swinging a knife at you.
No, because near 100% of those people are just out doing the same thing.
Right. And that's what scares the crap out of me about this case is that there's really nothing that Clinton and Cristen could have done differently.
And I know Clinton and Cristen would rather have died non-heroes or not died and not be heroes
Right.
and still be mother and father. Like that's the best thing ever as far as I'm concerned if you're able. And it's just so incredibly sad. I'm so sorry for their families, their children, like everybody, the community. Just some rant. Like I guarantee you there's some crap in this guy's past.
Oh, I mean, there has to be that there were definitely signs. Had to have been signs. Just the look on his face and what he did. I guarantee you he's one of those guys that people were like, he's got bodies buried in his basement.
Absolutely. You know that he cut up squirrels.
We all say that
as a
about
kid.
somebody, but what do you do about it? You got this coworker, you're like, he's a friggin' weirdo. He hasn't done anything. What do you do about it? Nothing.
It's kind of like stalking. Like you can't do anything until that person does something to you.
Unfortunately,
It's horrible. I hope this guy dies immediately. It's so horrible.
I mean, you could say innocent until proven guilty. He freaking confessed. His
He's
DNA,
proven guilty.
You could say that, but the trial has yet to happen.
This is a perfect scenario where the commissioner of death, myself, comes in and just says, okay, enough of the BS, man. No trials. Don't spend money. Don't spend resources. Just like light them on fire or I'd slash them. I don't know. Somebody bring a chainsaw. I don't know. Whatever. Anybody like, do we have volunteers? How do you want to get rid of them? That's fine. Here's $10. Go good to it.
And there are a lot of cases that require a trial because there's unknown circumstances. The evidence isn't solid. In this case, it is so black and white. We pretty much can say how this outcome is going to turn out once we waste this time to go through a trial and then dig up all the anguish of this family who lost Clinton and Cristen, drag them through that process.
Create more stress and anxiety. And
it's such a
terrible
waste.
Yeah, you're a scumbag. You're a terrible scumbag. Hope you die soon. Andrew. Yeah. Andrew McGann. Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for being here with us, for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you so much. Mike's just doing the little hand cheer. Yay.
That's if it was above my head, I'd be like, yay, I'm a champion. Yay.
And if you're caught up and looking for more content, and if you just believe in us and want to support us, we do have bonus episodes every single Wednesday. You can find us over on Apple Podcast subscriptions or Patreon.
And if you don't have the money for it, just the free way to help us is just subscribing to everything and making sure on those podcast players that you press that plus button so you're subscribed and following us.
And if you want to see our ugly mugs, head on over to YouTube and you can see us.
Yeah, look at us.
But we thank you, and we hope you guys are having a happy and healthy 2026 thus far. And until next time, bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.